Hello, everyone. My name is Marsh, and this is my review for the final episode of The Wheel of Time. Let's jump into it. So, the final episode of The Wheel of Time. If you haven't watched it yet, click off this video. Feel free to come back. In terms of structure for this video, it's going to be the episode itself in the beginning. I'll talk about the season as a whole towards the end of the video, but for the most part in the beginning, it's just going to be the final episode and my critique on it. The good, the bad, the ugly, everything in between. Feel free to leave a like and subscribe if you end up enjoying the video. Other than that, though, let's go ahead and get started. So right off the bat, this isn't going to be the most positive review, just to let everyone know. I do have certain opinions about certain events that happen. There was some good. There was a lot of logical issues I had with the writing that we'll go into, but we'll just go ahead and get started with a positive because we always want to have a positive mindset going into a video. Okay, positive, positive, positive. So something that everyone's been enjoying so far has been Lanfear. The portrayal of Lanfear, how they're doing everything with that. From her in the beginning, just with the Maishadar in the ways, I probably pronounced that wrong, and then like forcing Moraine and Lan out of the ways. The whole aura and perspective around Lanfear, how she's manipulating things and dealing with politics, is one of the better parts of season 2 so far. How she's trying to put everything in place to have it how she wants it. I really like what they did with her. There was the part with Ishmael, which I feel like was a little heavy-handed with her trying to manipulate him, but it's also good because it shows that the Forsaken do not work together. Even if they put up a ploy that they always have their own motives in mind first. Second positive, I would say the majority of the first half of the episode was what I liked. A lot of my issues come into play with logical things that happen in the second half of the episode. So I liked the first half of the episode, what they were doing with certain things. Especially the Shan Chan plotline with Egwene, I feel like is the strongest one. And some of the other aspects of the episode that are strong as well. The portrayal of Elaine and Nynaeve is pretty good overall. I do have some issues later, like I mentioned. In fact, let's actually just go ahead. We'll jump into each character, take it one by one, and go from there. We might make it chronological. We'll see. Okay, let's just jump into some of the critiques because I feel like it's a little more overwhelming in this episode than some of the prior ones. I don't think this episode was as well done as the previous episodes with what it did to build up. It really could have used another episode in this season because it felt like a lot of the stuff was forced into place at the end. We're getting people into certain spots just because we have to. After we have Moraine and Lan get pushed out of the ways and they're on a beach a few miles away from Falm, it looks like they just don't really do anything the rest of the episode. They're just kind of talking the whole time. They get over their stupid arguments that they've been having the whole season, which are unnecessary. They rebond and they continue on down the beach. That's basically it for their storyline. They don't really do much the whole episode. There's other stuff that Moraine does, and we'll get to it when we get to it. But that's how it goes with the beginning. One good thing they did in the beginning, though, they had the like a flashback with Ishmael and Lews Therin and him sealing the Forsaken. Not something we ever got to see in the books, so it was interesting to see their take on it, and I'm not going to really complain. I enjoyed it for the most part. After that, we get the setup of the White Cloaks going to invade Falm. That's basically it. They're setting up the charge, and the White Cloaks getting ready to go into battle because they need to be there, which is part of what I'm mentioning. Things are just like randomly there. I don't know if we received prior justification as to why they're in Falm, and I may have missed it. That could be on me, but it just seems like they're there to be there and to attack the Shan Chan because they want to kill the channelers, I guess. Going from that, we have the Lan and Moraine thing I already mentioned, we already talked about. And then we go to Lanfear manipulating Ishmael. I like the manipulation for the most part. Ishmael's character, I didn't really like the acting in that part because he was acting kind of like a little baby. But the rest of the episode, he was fine. And then once more, we have the good parts with Egwene and Rena. The talking about cutting out the tongue, the punishments, and just setting up that relationship for the Damani once more and re-emphasizing how horrible it is. And then we cut to Nynaeve and Elaine doing the same thing to the one they captured. The significance of it basically being that the Shan Chan that are controlling the Damani can also channel as well. They're just so weak that weren't able to be detected. This is a big revelation in Shanchan culture, as you all know. So it's good that they mention it. I like how it's going so far. And after that point is where the episode starts having some issues for me. We already got to the part with Moraine and Lan bonding. Then it goes to Ingtar, Loyal, and Perrin and Avienda randomly all meeting up in the city. Perrin, of course, leaves Hopper behind. But they're all just meeting up in the city randomly. He magically has the horn. We have no reasoning as to how they got the horn. The only thing we hear is Ingtar say, a lady from Kyrian helped us. So they're talking about Selene helping Ingtar. But it's out of that whole thing, that whole one-liner, that's all we really get. We don't see any action. We don't see them stealing it. I don't really like that. It's like I mentioned before, them just putting things into place, which is why another episode would have been nice so that we could see these things happen instead of just being told. Also, it starts getting a little cheesy with Loyal giving like his speech to everyone and saying we're all heroes of an age of legends and everything. It's a little cheesy. The next part though was kind of a positive. I kind of like where they went with it. It's basically Rand approaching the Shanchan Emperor dude, I forgot his name, and he's like, yo, we can fucking fight with our Heron Mark blades. And it looks really silly. I don't like the speaker's voice that's talking for him for Turok, but he looks funny with his nails, and then he like whips out his sword. I'm like, oh, we're gonna get to see the fight at least. That'll be cool. But instead they just have Rand like murder everyone, which I'm actually fine with the change there because I don't know if they have the proper choreography to give us like a good enough sword fight. And also it shows a brutality towards Rand, which I like that they're showing and portraying, but I don't think they would have been able to fulfill a proper sword fight based off the choreography for the rest of the episode. So it's probably a better choice to have him just murder everyone right away in that spot. Another positive as well, the speaker kills himself after Turok dies, like shows kind of how the Shanchan faith works and the people of Shanchan work. So I like that. It's a little thing that they added that they didn't need to. They could have just murdered everyone and walked away. The next part was kind of a disappointment as a book reader. We get the death of Ingtar. This was huge in the book. So since he's already dead, he was a dark friend, probably working with Lanfear to get the horn. That's where he mentions the lady in Kyrian. He was a dark friend in the books, and he makes this sacrifice to fight for the light one more time and save everyone. They don't really go into that at all. Missed out on a major opportunity. And also the impact of his death wasn't really felt because we didn't really get that much development with him, to be quite honest with you. He was in a few episodes prior just for a few minutes, but we had no emotional attachment to him. So it didn't really feel like much when it comes down to it, which could be why they avoided the whole dark friend plot with him, because they didn't feel like it would be satisfactory enough and it would just be kind of out of nowhere. I think it's important to have the dark friend plot though, because it shows that under their noses, anyone can be a dark friend. They did that with the little prince dude from Kyrian, the damage red boy, but it'd be good to see like Perrin and everyone witness it directly instead of just Moraine's sister, who's not part of the main crew. I didn't mention it before as well. We also have Matt with his dagger. Podden Fane walks in, is just like tempting him with it, just basically gives it back to him for no reason. I guess it's like a come to the dark side type of thing, and he has to overcome his temptation. But it just seems kind of weird because they haven't emphasized the dagger at all season. They haven't mentioned it, like maybe in passing, but they kind of took away the emphasis, and now they brought it back just for Matt to like tie it to a quarterstaff and make it into a glaive and use it as a weapon. It's just weird how they do it. I enjoy the acting from Matt. I like how he got around it, how he tied it so he didn't need to touch it, fighting the temptation, doing all those things. It's just, I don't feel earned, if that makes sense. We also get the charge from the White Cloaks as well. That was fine. A little weird that they just have a bunch of children walking out with fog machines, but I don't know. It's fine though, I guess. They did the charge. They come in, they're attacking, and we have the Shanchan defending on the tower. Gwen's one of them. She sees the White Cloaks. She gets angry, throws a fireball, kills them, gets turned into a murderer, basically. Then we start getting into some logical issues, like I mentioned. So we have Nynaeve and Elaine just randomly walking through the streets with their servant. The lady gets shot through the neck in the middle of a battle because, of course, she's a Shanchan. And then, like, Elaine also gets shot in the leg. And the part I do like about this is how they show the struggle for Nynaeve not being able to channel unless she's angry, and she can't heal Elaine the part I don't like is how they treat the injury with Elaine. They basically have her push the arrow through her leg. They don't show her patching it up, filling the wound, stopping the blood. Also, you'd want to break the back of the arrow off so that it could fit through, if that's the route you're taking. And then there's like, then they decide to limp together to the top of a tower to help Rand at the end. And they have like, they don't address Elaine's injury at all after that point, and she's just like fine, when it doesn't really make sense that they're walking miles with a lady who literally has an arrow in her leg and can't walk. That's an actual serious injury. So that's part of what I mean by the logic thing. They kind of were just saying, "Oh, we'll do this because it's cool," but there's no way to really fix it afterwards, and we'll just ignore it. And then I mentioned I liked all the Shan Egwene stuff up to this point, and then this is where it gets a little weird for me as well. So the big old boulder comes down, kills every single Shan Damani on the platform except for Egwene and Rena, of course. We see the collar come off of the other lady who was an Aes Sedai, forgot her name, and then Egwene picks it up. So good job putting that detail. And then she collars Rena. My only issue is, what's the logistical thing here? If they're both collared, couldn't they not hurt each other? Why is Egwene all of a sudden able to overpower her and force her on there? Is it like a thing where now that they're both collar, whoever's the stronger channeler gets power over the other? Like, I don't think this is a thing that's ever happened before in the books, and this isn't a thing that, like, it just doesn't logically make sense when you think into it too much. Yeah, it's cool for the TV, and she has her like power moment, like killing Rena and freeing herself, and I'm fine with her freeing herself. I just don't know if this was necessarily the best way to go about it, just because the confusion that sets in with the collars. That's my little nitpick for that portion, as you can see with all my other nitpicks. Okay, then we get to the next part. Matt comes running up a hallway or an alleyway, meets up with Perrin, Avienda, Bane, and Chiara, and Loyal, and like they reunite, and a bunch of people come. The fighting starts. The fighting choreography is not very good, I would say. It's a lot of just like sprinting and attack, and it's kind of disappointing because the Aiel fights prior to this have all been pretty intense, but this one, it was kind of underwhelming in terms of the alleyway. It just felt like bodies running at bodies and people just swinging randomly for most of it. And also there's like this issue where people are just walking around sets, so like Perrin, Loyal, and Avienda, they're just like walking in, nothing's happening. Elaine and Nynaeve are just walking, nothing's happening for a long time. Like, it just feels like there's like set characters just walking around while like chaos is happening around. So it kind of feels like out of body. But yeah, they're talking about getting the horn to Rand. Makes sense. I'm fine with that. We cut to Ishmael and Rand shows up to save Egwene, and they're all talking. Ishmael shows up, pushes Egwene into a wall, and then fights Rand a little, and then Rand gets shielded. After that, we cut back to Matt opening the Horn of Valere with his magic lightsaber dagger glaive that's tied by a rope. He opens it though. It looks like the magic conch from SpongeBob or something that's been dyed gold. But he takes the horn and he's going to get it to Rand, and he runs away from Perrin and Loyal while they continue to fight. One thing I like that they show is the connection between Dane Bornhald and Perrin. They meet up and they're like fighting, they're getting along. Perrin then gets saved by Hopper. This basically replaces Hopper's death from that should have happened in season 1. And he attacks Volga, and then Hopper dies. And in anger, he kills Joffrey Bornhald because he killed Hopper, and he doesn't know it's Dane Bornhald's father, obviously. This is a good change from the books, in my opinion, slightly, because it actually gives a reason for Dane to hate Perrin versus the books. It's not as justified. But I'm fine with it overall. This was good for me. Okay, and then the next part, we have Matt, and this is where it's like a little cheesy, like what's going on here. Matt like runs up to this like wall, and there's just randomly like 50 Shan soldiers just like standing there. Like, shouldn't they be fighting the White Cloaks? Anyways, Matt, like they charge at Matt, he blows the horn, there's like a super cheesy slow-mo where everyone slows down except for Matt, and then the Heroes of the Horn come, and there's like 10 of them, and Uno's one of them, and it just was not doing it for me. It felt so like cheesy Power Rangers esque. Like, here we go, people. I guess in my head I just built up too much expectations. I was expecting like something sort of like the Lord of the Rings movies, where like all the ghosts come in and like kill everyone and like ride through and save the day like that. Not just them like to like 10 dudes to appear behind Matt and then he could like give a speech in regular motion while everyone is slow motion. I will say I did like the effects of the Heroes of the Horn, how they had like their bodies being like phantoms and it being wavy and around them and everything like that. But it didn't hit it for me. Sorry for being such a negative Nancy this video. I'm just had a lot of issues with these battles because the choreography was not doing it for me for a lot of it, and I'm kind of like a battle nerd. Okay, and then we have Matt show up to save Rand. He throws a spear, misses, and it was an illusion, goes through him, hits Rand. I don't hate it. This is how Rand gets his wound in his side that's infected, I guess, with the stuff from the dagger. I guess how that's the take that they're doing in this. I don't hate that part per se. I'm fine with that, with how it went down. And then Ishmael's like, yo, that's an illusion, you losers. And then when they're about to die, Egwene comes in and starts helping them, puts like a shield up, and like it's just taking on damage from Ishmael. I did think it was a little like forced girl power cheesy or power of friendship type of thing that they had at the end here with everyone coming in to help. But Egwene's blocking it. I do have an issue with how they handle the fight between Ishmael and Egwene. It's just the way that weaves are so creative and you could do stuff with, and all it boils down to is I have a force field, I'm shooting fireballs at you. There was no creativity in it. They could have done a little bit more, in my opinion. After that, we cut back to Lana Moraine back on the beach, and she notices the weaves, and she sees that Rand is shielded, and so she's going to attack that. No problem with Moraine doing that. That's totally fine and justified to protect Rand and do what she's need to for the Dragon Reborn. The issue I do have also is, like I said, another logical issue. A bunch of random Shan-Chan soldiers just randomly run up from behind on a beach that's miles away from the city. Where did they come from? What's going on here? Like, it's just like, why? It's unnecessary. I guess you want to land to do stuff, but it like doesn't logically make sense when you think about it. That's what I have a lot of issues with this episode, because there's just like those moments where it's like, this doesn't make sense. It's cool to see, I guess, but it doesn't make sense. That being said, the weaves Moraine was doing were pretty cool with the like fire dragon going under the sea. The visuals were cool. We cut back to Rand though after he gets freed from being shielded, and he also gets healed from Elaine. Also, how did Elaine get up there with her injured leg? We'll just ignore that. And the fact that she doesn't have anyone holding her up at the end when she's like standing there in their group photo with the dragon banner above. We'll just ignore it. But yeah, she heals Rand, or at least stops the wound from increasing. He's no longer shielded. He takes control of the weave. He like burns his sword. He stabs Ishmael, gets the burned heron mark blade on his hand, and kills Ishmael as far as we're aware. I'm fine with the things that happen. My issue is more with the anticlimactic nature of it, because the fight between Rand and Ishmael, instead of being like projected in the sky and going crazy, it was just, I'm no longer shielded. I'm walking up to you with a sword. I stab you. Like, there was no effort by Ishmael to defend himself. That's the only problem I have with it's just anticlimactic for everything that it built up to. And then after he dies, Moraine's like, we got to raise the dragon banner. She does her fire dragon, wraps around. Okay, that's pretty cool. They have their little like Marvel's Avengers photo shoot at the top with Rand at the top there and everyone cheering for him. And everyone's like up behind him, Perrin's there, the whole crew. And everything's good to go. And then lastly, which I liked, we learn Ishmael broke all the seals and freed the rest of the Forsaken. Since he freed the rest of the Forsaken, we see Mo Gideon. I like the portrayal of Mo Gideon, even though she did look like Popeye's wife with her little ponytail. But the way that she traps Lanfear, and you see once more the Forsaken don't know how to deal with each other when it comes to that. And they hate each other. Okay, so the episode overall was like a 6 for me. Wasn't really doing for me. A lot of that was I don't feel like the writers know how to build up to a climax. You saw that with the failure of season 1. A lot of that was blamed to budget issues, COVID, and things like that. They did better this time, but it's still not quite there. Didn't have quite the oomph. In terms of the season overall, it's still a positive step forward, I would say. Season 1 was pretty atrocious to me. Like, at most, a 5 out of 10. Maybe a 4 out of 10, I'd probably give it. It landed on its face. It fell. Season 2 is better. I would probably give it a 7. 6.5 to 7 is what I'm feeling. A remarkable step up from season 1. I enjoy where it's going. There are positives that I like. A lot of my issues are with things that can be fixed. So that's the good thing. I'm excited for season 3. I think it's been approved. We'll have to see. But I want them to continue to step it up and do well. What they do well is the villains in terms of the Forsaken. What they do not well is a lot of the writing and build up towards that. I would say pacing is partly an issue. They waste time on certain things that aren't necessary, and they don't spend time on other things. This could have really used another episode in this season, like to build out some more development with other characters like Inktar, so we could have had that impactful death for Inktar, or even show Loyal doing their rescue there. Like, things felt really forced at the end, is what I'll say. And it would have been nice to have another episode to build it out and flesh it out as is. Overall, though, let me know what you think about the episode. Did you like the episode? How do you feel about the season overall? I know I'm a little more negative. I apologize about that. It's just, I want to critique it. It's coming from a place of love, and I want it to get better, and it did get better. It's not quite where I want it, like on top of the Game of Thrones levels or anything, but it's getting there. It's getting better, and I'm enjoying it. As long as it doesn't do a Witcher and get worse, that'll be a positive for me. Overall, though, thank you for watching. Hope you guys have a wonderful day. For those of you that watch the channel and you're somehow still here, next week I plan to release a review for The Sunlit Man by Brandon Sanderson. I'm also going to announce my Malazan book club and when I plan to start that, and I have a few other things in the works as is. Sorry for being so busy. I've recently entered school for like a master's type of thing, and it's been taking up a lot of my time. But thank you all for watching. Hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.